From Creamer Media in Johannesburg, this is the Real Economy Report. Our top stories this week. The Ben Schoeman highway expansion is on track and on time. Green building is gaining momentum in South Africa, and the Ekurhuleni jewellery project empowers communities. The 29 billion rand Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project will see the upgrade of many roads and bridges in and around Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. This work is divided into various work packages. Irma Venter takes a closer look at Package C.
This is the Olifantsfontein Bridge, or rather, the additional bridge that will be added to the existing bridge to create a 4-lane carriageway over the N1 between Pretoria and Johannesburg. It forms part of the South African National Roads Agency's, or SANRAL's, 1.7 billion rand Package C of the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project. SANRAL project engineer Henny Kotze explains.
Package C stretches from Brockfontein interchange to Kloof interchange, the so-called Ben Schoeman Freeway between Pretoria and Johannesburg. It is 22 kilometers long, and it is one of the packages of the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Scheme. We foresee to widen the freeway to 4 lanes in each direction, and in certain areas, for instance between Allendale interchange and Kloof interchange, it will be 60 lanes in a direction.
The Olifantsfontein Bridge is not the only one which will be upgraded as part of Package C.
Allendale interchange, the existing single bridge that's there, will actually be demolished and replaced with 2 new bridges. And the whole interchange is going to be upgraded from the existing diamond interchange to a free flow interchange with no traffic lights whatsoever. Then LaRue Street is an overbridge. That bridge is also going to need to be demolished because it hasn't got enough clearance for trucks to go underneath it. So that will be demolished, and also it's also not wide enough for all the 4 lanes to go through there. So it will be demolished and replaced with a new bridge. And then Olifantsfontein Bridge, we're also doubling up the bridge there to provide a dual carriageway road across the freeway. And the last one is Nelmapius, which is also overbridge. Nelmapius will also be demolished because the width of the bridge is not sufficient over the freeway to make provision for all the lanes, and that will also be replaced with a new bridge.
At the moment, work on Package C is progressing largely according to schedule.
We are more or less on time. There's slight delays here and there with certain activities, but in general we are 40% complete, and we foresee the completion date to be or to have the major work completed by April 2010 before the World Cup, and then there will be some activities still to be completed after that, which will not affect the freeway itself.
The interest in green building in South Africa is growing rapidly. After the break, we speak to the Green Building Council of South Africa's CEO, Nicola Douglas, on the work the council is doing.
The Green Building Council of South Africa was established in 2007, and by November 2008 launched the Green Star SA rating tool for office buildings. The race to be the first Green Star certified office building in South Africa is on. There are 5 buildings registered to be rated, and the council is satisfied with the interest in the tool to date.
I think the mainstream momentum in our industry really took off last year, and with what's happened in the economy in the last 6 months, one could expect that this momentum would have slowed somewhat, but it's actually the reverse in terms of green building. People seem to realize that the only investments worth making right now are sustainable ones, and they realize because energy costs are going up and that kind of thing, that they actually need to build these initiatives into their buildings now to avoid costly retrofits down the line. So, of course, people are more cautious on all levels, and some projects have been put on hold, etc. But the green elements, there still seems to be quite a commitment to that.
Next on the agenda, the Council will create a Green Star SA rating tool for retail and shopping centres, and following that, a tool for existing buildings, focusing on energy, water and waste management performance of a building. There is demand for an existing building rating tool, particularly in the current economic climate.
Well, we've been fortunate in the office and the retail tool that we've developed, that we are basing our tools on the Australian Green Star system. So we do have a ready-made product to start working from. And what it involves is we have paid technical consultants who are Arab for the first tool and will be WSP on the second tool. We have a volunteer technical working group of up to 25 industry experts from throughout South Africa, experts on energy, water, etc. And we meet on a regular basis and go through every single credit in the tool and say, is it applicable to South Africa? If so, what is the correct level that it should be pitched at? If it's not, let's take it out of the tool. Is there perhaps a different credit which should apply in the South African context? And we go through the whole product, and it takes about 5 months to get a pilot tool out, and then it takes an extra 5 months, so anything from 10 months to a year to actually develop the South African version of a tool.
In South Africa, it's apparent that a more sustainable and responsible way of constructing and operating buildings is transforming new built environment projects. It's important to remember the larger context in which this takes place.
Climate change is the major issue facing humankind at the moment. And 40% of the world's energy is consumed in buildings, in their construction and ongoing operation. So with a green building being able to significantly reduce its energy usage, amongst other things, water, etc., we can have the property industry can have perhaps the most major impact on stemming the tide of climate change. And that's why we focus on green building. It's some of the, if you could say, the most lowest hanging fruit in the fight against climate change. There's so much we can do. The McKinsey report says at negative marginal cost, although I'm not too sure if South African industry is quite there yet, but there's so much which can be done at very little additional cost.
Skills development and job creation are two of the major challenges South Africa is facing on its way to improve the living standards for the majority of the population. Loni Prinsloo takes a closer look.
The Ekurhuleni jewellery project is modelled on Vukani Ubuntu's integrated development model, combining expertise from different industry and development partners in an aim to address unemployment and skills development challenges. Vukani Ubuntu CEO Demos Tuckles tells us more.
With this project here, the Ekurhuleni Jewellery Project, we hope to achieve very similar to what we've achieved with the other projects, but go one step further in terms of the sustainability aspect. So the projects are based on Vukani's integrated development model, which essentially has three pillars: a manufacturing side, a production side, and a training side. In terms of production, SMME production, my apologies. So that means that you've got to have broad industry participation. And in this case, we've got wonderful partners in the Jewellery Council, development partners with Mintek, the Khabani program, Harmony Jewellery School, and Vukani itself as a development organisation. Then we have industry expertise from the MQA in terms of the training side. We have a mentor, a technical mentor in Alan May, Manufacturing Jewellers, which is the biggest manufacturing jewellery outlet in South Africa. So it seems we've hit it right on the button this time. We've really got a great partnership. Not to mention the funders, of course, last but not least, Rand Refinery, Ekurhuleni, Metro, and DTI, who've greatly supported this project. So it's good news all round.
He explains how this project will benefit the community.
Wonderfully, because essentially what we do is we build what we call an enabling environment. So community members come here. As you can see from the workshops and stuff, if you have to go to a Technikon and do the same type of course, it's going to cost you 20-30 grand a year. This training is free. So community benefits by completely free training. We upskill the people as well. We ensure jobs. And we've got a 97% placement rate.
The beneficiation project is based at Rand Refinery's premises in Germiston. Rand Refinery MD Jeff Miller tells us why the company decided to house, sponsor and support the project.
It's a part of the dovetailing that took place with our beneficiation that we commenced in that year was to look at our corporate and social responsibility. And the best way we could do it is help the gold manufacturers on our site, and that's exactly what we've done by setting up this facility.
And now for a sneak preview of this week's Engineering News magazine. In our cover story this week, we highlight the fact that the Soccer World Cup is only a year away, but will recession-weary fans still come, and is South Africa ready for them? Global energy equipment vendor Alstom is confident of being able to meet the localization promises it made to Eskom in supplying 2 major turbines. And South African state-owned defence industrial group Denel responds to a request for information from the Brazilian Air Force regarding unmanned air vehicles for surveillance missions. And in Mining Weekly this week, Uranium One's CEO Jean NORTIER says that the company's roller coaster ride is continuing, but there are still prospects for solid organic and acquisitive growth for the company. We report that palladium and rhodium may come to the fore as smaller petrol cars are targeted to reduce the world's carbon footprint. And read how Nikki Oppenheimer wants the economic lions of Africa to be allowed to roar by urgently improving the continent's competitiveness. That's Creamer Media's Real Economy Report. Join us again next week for more news and insight into South Africa's real economy.
Engineering news, not just for engineers.